Hello and welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair, happy to be on the air again today for you with another episode of That VidBlaster Guy, where we talk about VidBlaster, my favorite. You know, VidBlaster's got to be my all-time favorite software. And this is going way back to the days of MS-DOS and CP/M. And all the promises that were made way back there about all the great things that software were able to do. And I remember WordPerfect when it came out in the MS-DOS days, and that was just the hottest piece of software, and I thought that was the greatest thing in the world, but I think VidBlaster is even better. And I'm delighted to bring you information, news, and all sorts of stuff about VidBlaster. Oh, let's drop in the lower third there. Sorry about that. I rebuilt my profile today, so things aren't exactly where they aren't where I left them. They're in different places, so it may take me a little while to get used to it. The whole idea behind this show is, and for those of you that watch this show all the time, you probably get tired of hearing this mantra, but the idea is that one guy or gal with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. Now you got to have the right software. I think VidBlaster is the right software, and you got to have the right graphics and and all the other things that go with it, the lower thirds and the background and the green screens and the chroma key. I mean, this is what I look like in real life. It's just a green screen, but then we drop in this really cool movable background right here. And then pop me in on top of it and put a lower third on top of it. It looks like, wow, this is great. This is professional. Well, not me. No, it's not professional. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm a soccer dad. My kids were playing soccer, and I was out and taking pictures, and I created a website, and then one day I took video camera out there, and then I thought, it sure would be cool if we could put all this video live on the internet for people to watch. I've seen, other people were doing it. This was back in 2007, 2008. And we did it. And then I discovered VidBlaster in 2009, and it was like, wow, look out. And it keeps getting better and better and better. So one guy or gal with one PC really can do one awesome broadcast. Now, it takes the right hardware. Let me give you a brief idea of my hardware profile. I'm running an i7. I think this one is a 2600K, and it's overclocked a little bit from 3.4 gigahertz to 4.0 gigahertz, and I'm going to add water cooling to it and try to bump it up some more, trying to stay within the realms of what the normal guy can do, because I'm a normal guy. I'm not a nerd by birth. I'm in my 50s, so I came into nerd land late in life. And became a geek by adoption, not by birth. But I love it. I'm running a solid-state hard drive as my primary drive. That's where VidBlaster and the operating system are loaded. And then I've got a terabyte hard backup. That's a spinning platter backup. The video card is not astounding. It's just a little generic video card, nothing fancy. And the camera that I'm using is a Logitech C920 webcam, so you can really get started without a whole room full of specialized equipment. I've got two monitors in front of me, and then a keyboard and some extra stuff. And the extra stuff is what we'll be talking about today. We try to cover three basic topics during the course of our shows, not necessarily every week, but we want to talk about church broadcasting, the things that you can use in church broadcasting, because I think that's a great use for VidBlaster, and I'm behind that 100%. There's nothing like, getting the message out, and that's what churches are all about, is bringing the good news. And that's indeed what I want to help churches do, is bring about the good news so that everybody can hear it. Also believe in talk show broadcasting, shows like this one. This is a great way to communicate with your audience. You've got the center stage, and you can do anything with the center stage that you want to, and VidBlaster can help you do that. And then the third other main category that I see is sports broadcasting, and that can be anything from kids' little league game to semi-pro, whatever's going on, or adult amateur. anything that might be interesting. You can do it with multiple cameras, and instant replay, of course, is where VidBlaster shines and all that. So it's a lot of fun. And we'll be talking about that some more in other shows. But today we're going to be talking about the API, the applied, I think it's called Applied Programming Language. Golly, what does API stand for? You know, I should know the answer to a question like that. Application Programming Interface. The Application Programming Interface. Basically, it's a way to communicate with VidBlaster by giving it commands from a remote source. The remote source can be your keyboard, or it can be your cell phone, it can be your iPad, it can be in the next room, it can be a world away. So we'll be spending a lot of time today talking about the API and some of the apps that have already been developed for VidBlaster using the API. And we'll demo those and tell you how you can get them. Let's see, I'm trying to remember my notes here. Oh, and at the end of the show, if you're in the chat room, we will invite you to call in and chat with us using our handy-dandy cell phone hookup that I want to give a hat tip to Joe DeMax for showing me how to do. That's worked out really well. So, but before we do, let's go to our news segment. So we want to go to the what's new in VidBlaster. Last week we told you about something coming down the pike very, very quickly with VidBlaster called the macro function. Well, macros is basically going to be a API interface that's built into VidBlaster so that you can execute any command or series of commands from the desktop. And let me give you a look here at what this is going to look like. Let me pop over to this cam for just a second. And you might have to get close to your screen to see it. But basically what we've got is a macro menu. And down the left-hand corner here, let me get my cursor over so we can show you. Down the left-hand corner are the lines. Each macro has its own line. And then would be a description. What does the macro do? Well, this macro puts video overlay 1 onto effect number 2 and displays it on the screen. And then over here would be the commands from the API to do that. This window down here is an editor where you can edit and modify. Of course, that's what edit means, duh. Where you can add and modify your macro controls so that you can tell VidBlaster to do just about anything that it's capable of doing. Now, the macro feature is something that's been requested for probably for years in VidBlaster. And you know, all the stars have finally aligned, and looks like it's going to be out in release 3.09. Now, 3.09 is a beta release, a beta version in the major version of 3. 3 came out a couple of, I guess probably it's been 4 or 5 weeks ago now. It had been in private beta prior to that, and has now been released to the wild for all of us to have fun with. And features have been showing up right and left. A lot of the version 3 VidBlaster has been rewritten from the ground up, and old features are being re-added to version 3. For example, I don't think playlist is functioning. Let me take a look here. You know, I'd hate to say something like that and then and not be accurate, but I don't think the playlist is available yet. And let's see right here. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it in the player yet. So if the playlist is important to you, stick with version 2. Version 2.27 is the latest release version. Version 2.33 I think was the latest beta in the version 2s. But stick with that. But this macro function is going to be really huge. Basically, you're going to be able to, oh, and I forgot the last column, that over here, that's the shortcut column. And that's basically where you'll say, you know, what will be the command? It might be F2 on the function key number 2 on the keyboard. It might be control function 4. Whatever the shortcut is, you can assign it. Now, it's still in development now, so we'll have to see whether it comes out, excuse me, as a key that you can press and the shortcut will appear in that box, or whether it's a series of characters that you type in that represent that keyboard shortcut. Not sure at this point, but it's definitely going to be great because it's going to give us the ability. It's going to give us the ability to do what the Korg Nano Control can do, at least a lot of it. And let me add another camera module here so I can, for those of you that don't have a clue what I'm talking about with the Korg Nano Control, let me locate that cam. Just one second. Sorry, I hate to do this to you guys on live, but as I said, I was rebuilding this profile and didn't quite get it finished. It looks like I might not be able to find this cam. It's here somewhere, and it's on. I wonder if I plugged it back in. Oh well, gee whiz. Because this is all I'm getting, and obviously that's not the camera that we want. But the Korg Nano Control, this little guy right here, has the ability to basically allow you to press a button with a MIDI command and add a series of commands in the VidBlaster API to be controlled by that command, by that keyboard. But the other thing this keyboard's got that the regular, Windows keyboard doesn't have is the sliders here and the control knobs here that I think are going to be really cool and allow you some advanced functions with instant replay, and we'll be getting into that in a later show as soon as some apps are ready to demonstrate on that. So coming down the pike soon is going to be the VidBlaster macro function. It's going to be a lot of fun to be able to do great things with the switcher, with the API. But what that means is that we need to understand more about the API than we may already understand it. One of the things that we need to know about the API is that the API requires us to be able to use, and let me find my little capture device right here. The API needs to be able to use this little function right here. This is a module in VidBlaster called the TCP server, and it allows you, if you could write that number down, I better get away from it real quick, to control my VidBlaster API, because I've got the TCP server on. Actually, it's active with another program, so I guess you couldn't get access to it now. But that is how you can connect to VidBlaster. You see the little red light is on, the tally light's on to tell us that we're actually in communication with another device somewhere, and that device is one of the apps that I want to introduce you to in just a second. So the TCP server allows the outside world to communicate with VidBlaster and give it commands. And by the way, Amnon, we're glad that you're on the show. Not sure what the problem was, but we're glad you're with us for sure. That's great. The API, let's see, let's bring up the API here, and we can do a little screen capture of the API. I had to set that up earlier, and then I said, oh, you know what, I need to do a screen capture of something else, and so I lost it. But the API is in the VidBlaster help, and so this is part of the help menu right now. It's under the heading of TCP server, the API, and it says, an API is available for VidBlaster. The API enables other software to exchange data with VidBlaster using TCP. Consequently, the other software can be located on the same PC, on the same network, or anywhere in the internet. And you can read the rest of it yourself. What I want to concentrate on is a particular part of the API today. And let's see if we can scroll this up a little bit. and it's called the API write. And that's going to be right there. The API write is the part of the API that allows you to tell VidBlaster to do something. And boy, you know, sometimes I am not the brightest bulb in the world, and definitely, you know, sometimes I'd like to believe I'm the smartest guy in the room, but you know, I'm really not. But the API allows us to give VidBlaster commands that it understands. For example, the command is API write. And we would say, okay, VidBlaster, API write. We want you to do this. And then the second thing is that we say, and use this module to do it with, and use this pin, and then here's what we want you to do. And so that might be in this example right here, and you guys probably can't see all this, but let me just read it for you. It says the API is to use the module video effect number 1, and the pin is source number 1 in video effect number 1, and for source number 1, select camera 1. Well, that's pretty cool. And so you can actually get into the guts of a module and change sources and destinations and those kinds of things by using the API. You can also use the API to switch cams, and that I think is going to be the most fun. And the second line here, and if you've got the VidBlaster help section, you can read along at home. The API, in this case, the command API, the module is video switcher, the pin is program 0, and whoops, I got to get the last part of this one in, and the value is true. Well, if you pull up the video switcher module on your VidBlaster program, if you have the studio version or higher, you will find that program 0 represents a device on the switcher. I believe, well, let me pull it up and I can tell you for sure. I think it is black. But let's see, video switcher, program 0 is black, yeah. And I'm looking at my video switcher right now, and I've got 0 through 9, and then I've got some characters that indicate other parts of the video switcher that we could use. Slash, a star, an underscore, and a period for players 1 through 4. And if you haven't ever played with the switcher, it's a lot of fun, but you kind of need to know how the switcher works in order for the API to make sense. So, for example, if we wanted to, we're going to go back and highlight this little section right here. If we wanted to tell it to turn on camera number 1, we would say video switcher, comma, program, space, 1, comma, space, true. So that would turn on camera number 1. Or whatever was in program 1 on the video switcher would be that. And then we would say, I think false would turn it off. I'd have to check that. And then there are things like cameras that can be turned off and on. Or no, I take that back. You know, it would be video switcher program 1 true. And then when you change to something else, like I just changed here, it would be just a matter of not turning the camera off, but turning the second device on, and that would switch from camera 1 to camera 2, for example. Now, if you were doing an overlay and you wanted to turn the overlay off, you would have to give it an off command. And then turn it back on, you would give it an on command. So the API is, golly, it's a programming language. But once you begin to understand it and play with it and get the basic concept of it, then it's really cool. The applications, I've got 2 applications that I want to show you here that are using the API. The first one, let's see, let's pull it up and we'll drop it into that area on the screen that we were using for screen capture. The first one is something called MonoMidi. And MonoMidi was written by Daniel Frost, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes for this show. But basically, it allows me to take something like the Korg Nano Control that you can see I'm already connected to. There's Korg Nano Control right there. And I can disconnect to it. I can drop down, and that would show me what other devices were available, and then I can connect back to it. And then I can, let's say I'll press a key on that keyboard, and let's see, let's connect up with VidBlaster. We may have to disconnect that other piece of software first. Let's do that one. So let's cancel that. And do we have the ability to, yeah, there we go. So we're going to stop it, and we're going to add well, you know, it's funny. You use this stuff, and then it works great, and then other times it's like, how in the world does it work? Let's skip this one for just a second. We'll come back to it. I had it working beautifully earlier, and for some reason it just doesn't want to be where we want it to be. But let's use a different one that I just got sent today. This is from Martin K, and it's called Team Names Overlay Assistant. And the whole idea is, for those of us in sports broadcasting, that something like this would allow us to take VidBlaster and use it at the last minute to change or to add a graphic onto the screen. And in this particular case, we've got, I'm going to use overlay number 4, so we'll change that to overlay number 4. And my team is going to be the BIS Biscuits. And I'm going to say that player number 1 is me, Tom Sinclair. And player number 2 is going to be Martin K. And if, let me get Martin's name spelled right here. If Martin is going to end up in the game, as he goes into the game, I'm going to announce him, and this gives me a way to announce him really quickly. So I can switch to that camera for Martin K, and I can say, into the game for the Montgomery Biscuits is, oops, where is it? It didn't go on. Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? That's the funny thing about all this stuff. There we go. Let's go back to our part here, and we'll turn Martin back off. You know, it's funny, I was playing with this in the pre-show, and everything worked perfectly. Let me scroll this up a little bit so you can see the rest of it. I'll tell you what, we'll just redo the screen capture. Capture, select area, and we're going to get the whole window that is this program. There we go. You may have to get kind of close to your monitor to see it. But I've said we're going to use overlay number 4 for our home team, the Biscuits. And number 1 is going to be Tom Sinclair. Number 2 is going to be Martin K. I'm going to say auto on and use the team name. And then I'm going to connect to VidBlaster. And I'm connected. And oh no, why did I hit OK? And it disappeared. Oh my goodness. Don't try this at home. Well, actually do try it at home. It can be a lot of fun. Let's try again. Not sure what OK is. And this is actually I guess you would call this an alpha software. So let's go back and number 4. Going to be the Biscuits, which is a fine little baseball team in Montgomery, Alabama. Player 1 is going to be Tom Sinclair. Player 2 is Martin K, and you'd have your whole roster installed. We're going to say auto on, use the team name, connect. We're connected to VidBlaster because I can see the TCP server. Red light came on. And now, if I click 1 right here, well, let's see, if I click 2 for Martin K, that should put him on the screen. There we go, Martin K for the Biscuits, player number 2. And I'm going to click the use player number here, and we'll click number 1 for Tom Sinclair, and now it says number 1 Tom Sinclair. But let's say that we want that to be a little more distinguishable. We're going to use a different color. We're going to make the font size a little bigger, and when we go back to Martin K, there he is, Martin K, number 2 for the Biscuits. So we can basically load up all this stuff pregame all the way up to player number 20, and have all of our players entered in there. And so when somebody switches a position in the game, going into the game, number 2, Tom Sinclair for the Biscuits, there is a away team column over here to the right, which I don't think is quite ready for prime time. I can put the team on the lower line so that when it goes in, now it says Martin K for the Biscuits. I mean, this is a pretty simple app, but can you think in a playing situation how much easier it's going to be to do these kinds of things if you've got an app like this that you can use that's already set up, sitting on a second monitor somewhere, hooked up to VidBlaster with a TCP server, and then pow, you've got it available. It's got some features that I guess are going to be built into it in the future. One down here that says use background, and I think B/G right here on the top is background. And again, this program is in development. It's called Team Names Overlay Assistant, and it will be available for purchase. I believe Martin is going to make it available as a piece of professional software. I hope to be one of the dealers in the United States for it. Oh, let's turn that off. There we go. And we're going to work with Martin on developing it. If you've got an interest in it, let me know, and I will pass it along to Martin. If you've got a real-life application that might be similar, but you would want to modify this a little bit to be used, maybe in an educational environment or something like that, where you need the ability to add very quick text on the fly, which VidBlaster does really easily. This makes it even easier. And so I actually haven't chatted with Martin about this. He sent me a couple of emails about it, and I said, well, let's throw it up there and see. I've used it today, probably pre-show. What did I do in the pre-show? Maybe 10 minutes work on it, and it's really easy to use, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so let me turn it off, and we'll see if we can't get MonoMidi fired up here. And we're going to have to, I think we may need to restart that application to get it working. Let's see. So we're going to put it back over here. We'll pop that one back up on the screen so you can see. Now what MonoMidi does, it allows you to take VidBlaster and have it controlled by any MIDI device, M-I-D-I, any MIDI device. And so in our case, we've got a Korg Nano Control hooked up to it, so we'll go ahead and connect up to that. We want to take commands from the Korg Nano Control, so I'm going to push a button under number 1. That's going to bring up number 23. We're going to make the assumption, or actually this software makes the assumption that the command API write has already been set. So I'm going to tell it that I want the video switcher is my module, and I want program, let's say number 4 to turn on, and let's see if, so we're going to add that to our command list. I think I've done that correctly. Let's launch the program. And if I press number 1 on the keyboard, let's see what happens. Ah, there we go. Okay. So we have very quickly and very easily programmed the API to switch to program number 4, program position number 4 on the video switcher, which just happens to be a module on my keyboard called Effect 4, which basically is my camera here with my player there brought together in an effect here. But let's say that I want to do this same thing, but I want it to add an overlay when I do that. Now I need to bring the video switcher back to my, where is the switcher? There it is. Back up on the screen so I can see what the program is. So I'm going to say 23 is that, and then video switcher. Let's see if we can edit that out. How do we, oh, we have to stop here. There we go. And then we'll come back here and say PROGRAM. Oh, no. We're going to do the video overlay number 1 on true. Okay, so let's see if that does it. And we're going to also make that control number 23. So we're telling it right now to take, when I press control 23, which is button number 1, video switcher, program 4, which is the module that has me in it. It's this module right here. We want you to do that first. And then the second line, video overlay number 1 on and true, and video overlay number 1 would give us the effect of adding that. And you saw that had kind of floated in later. All right, so let's go back here, and we're going to launch this. And now I'm going to press number 1 on the chord control, and you see now that we've told it to get effect module number 4, which happens to contain me in this background, and put it on the screen, and then as a second function add the video overlay number 1. Now in doing this, I have basically reduced the number of modules that I need to produce this look. In the past, this look was built by, number 1, a camera, number 2, a player, number 3, a chroma key module. Whoops, let me turn the lower third off. And number 4, a lower third. And if I want it all put together as one, I would have it to use a source overlay module, which would have the camera, which would have this, and this all put together, so I can click one button and do that. So that would use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules, and I've basically reduced the number of modules from 5 to 4. But hey, that's a 20% saving on modules. If I'm using an edition of VidBlaster like Pro that has 15 modules, and I want to be able to use this lower third and have it come up automatically without having to manually turn it on and manually turn it off, now I can do that because I can use the nano control. Now, granted, I am using one module that I wouldn't otherwise use, which is the TCP server module. So, you know, the first time you do it, you're trading one for the other. But if you have like Amnon Nissan with Nissan Communications that does that really cool show on Sunday mornings called Computers 2K Now, where he and 3 other highly skilled and very wise tech guys who just happen to be old, he's switching back and forth to them all the time, and he could use this nano control and save a bunch of modules. Let's go back to our nano control, and let's number one, we're going to stop it, And let's add another control. And I'm going to use it on the bottom button of number 1. And so that's going to be number 33. I don't know if you saw that change to 33 right there. And so the very first thing I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to tell it video overlay off, comma, space, true. So that's the command I'm going to add next. And then we're going to tell it to do video switcher. And by the way, if you misspell this stuff, it doesn't work. program, program, and effect 6 is number 9 on the program bar, and true. So let's add that. So if I press that second button, what I've told this nano control, excuse me, the MonoMidi, is I press the second button, take the video overlay 1 and turn it off, and then go to the video switcher, and whatever's at program position number 5, turn it on. So let's launch, and I'm going to press the bottom button on 1, which is number 33, and that turned off. Oh, you know what? We really can't tell because this one's already got a lower third on it. So let's go back, and we're going to modify our command to something that is a little bit more helpful. Now, let's go to, let's see, what's that same video effect, but without the switcher, effect 5. And effect 5 is going to be position number 8 on the keyboard. So we're going to add this one. Now we see we have 2 of them side by side, program 8, program 9. I'm simply going to hit the delete key and delete that one. And it does matter the order that they're in. We could put the off after this and it would just turn it off, but I'd rather turn it off first. Let's launch. Let's try again and see what happens, pressing the lower button. There we go. It turned. Well, let's go back to number 1. So we've got that one and then number 2. So with 2 buttons, we can switch back and forth and have 4 different things happening at the same time. I like that. That's really cool. Now, let's say that I'm forgetful, and I'm going to stop this one because we're going to add another button. I'm forgetful, and I always forget to turn off a lower third somewhere. I can make a universal turn off all the lower third commands. And I'm going to use button number 9, which is number 31. And so I can come in and say video overlay 1 off true. Is that right? Video overlay 1 off true. Okay. And then I can say video overlay 2 off true. How many video overlays do I have available today? Quite a few. Let's just do those 2. If I've spelled it all right, that looks right. We're going to launch, and let's go to number 1. And then I'm going to go to turn off all overlays. And since video overlay number 1 is an overlay, off it went. I can go back to the shot and turn on the overlay. I can go back, turn off all the overlays. I can go back to my shot here, go there. So now I've made 3 different options with the Korg Nano control. Let's see what else we could do. The controller will, I think in the US it's about 50 or 60 bucks. So it's pretty reasonable, I think. And it's a lot more fun, I think, to press the buttons sometimes than to take the mouse and move it around the screen and click things. Especially if you are in a environment where all the mouse clicks show up in your audio. It's much nicer to have a button that you can push that will do all of that at the drop of a hat. Now, that's about as far as I've taken it. There are lots of commands built into the API that are not things I understand. I hate to say that. You know, I'm not a geek by trade. I'm not a programmer by trade. You know, I'm just doing the best I can to bring you good information. But some of this we're going to have to get in there and figure out together ourselves. Let's see if I can get it up here for us pretty easily. One second, it's here somewhere. There it is. And let me redo the capture of it. That's basically the command list, but let me recapture it for you. There are lots of commands for cameras, PowerPoint module, recorder module, controllers, the replay controller, replay source, scoreboard, still store, RTSP, video effects, video out, video switcher. All of these are currently for the version 2.27, the latest release version. I don't think these commands have been updated for 3.08. In fact, I don't know that there have been any changes, although some of the module names have changed. And so, for example, the video out module in 2.27 is now called the the output module in 3.08. And I'm sure the API will be modified at some point to reflect that. It is very much a work in progress. But the beauty of it is if a command changes, you just go in and change it in your software, and pow, you're ready to go. It's going to be fun to do this. Now, let's see, where do I want to go with this? The MonoMidi program is basically a way to execute API commands from an external controller. The team viewer, the team names program is a way to control one specific module within VidBlaster for a specific purpose. So we've got kind of different ends of the spectrum here, and I suspect we're gonna see apps that'll come out to take other particular modules and just control the function of those modules from outside of VidBlaster. And by outside of VidBlaster, I mean it could happen from a second PC that's sitting right next to the VidBlaster PC, but on the same network. Or a cell phone or an iPad that's in a different part of the same building. The possibilities are really only limited by our ability to conceive of them. I'm really excited about this, and if you are a programmer and are interested in developing apps for the VidBlaster API and would like somebody to help you market them, I can't help you develop them, but I sure can help be a source for marketing, because I can show them on this show and can sell them in our store, and happy to help with that, for sure. So that's at least, excuse me just a second, that's a first look at the API, and it's been a lot of fun to try to figure it out and see what it can do and what it can't do. And I remember the first time I had the MonoMidi program going, it probably took me, I'd say, 20 minutes before I could get it to do anything. But once I cracked the code, it was Katie bar the door. I could get it to do all sorts of things. You do have the ability to save your profiles so that you can load them up later. And the Korg Nano Control, the keyboard itself, has all sorts of programming that can be done to change its functions, like the sliders. So it's going to be interesting to see how those come together as wiser heads than me put their minds to that task. It's going to be lots of fun. Let's take a turn in our show here, and I'd like to open up the phone lines, if I dare. So if you haven't already, you need to be in the chat room to get the phone number. But if you would like to call in, I'm going to put the number here in chat. If you would like to call in and make a comment or have a question, we will bring you in. And let's see if we can tell this thing to go. There we go. There's the number in chat. So call in, and I tell you what, let's do. Let's take the MonoMidi program and stop it and turn it off, and then we're going to get the team names program and fire that up while we're waiting for a call. And we'll get the team names program fired up and then see who might be coming to call, and then we'll put them in the slot here, and then we can make them. Oh, here's our first caller, and I'm going to turn this down for just 1 second and get that call opened. And welcome to the That VidBlaster Guy show.
Well, I'm happy to be here. How you doing? This is Charles Campbell.
Dr. Campbell, I should have suspected that you would be just ready on the go to call in.
Armed with my telephone this time. Wasn't in another room.
Very good.
I missed the pre-show and half of the regular show because I just couldn't get in. It wasn't your time. It was my computer kept screwing up.
I'm sorry. You need to have a reliable internet connection, I think, is what we've decided.
Well, I was told today that one of my neighbors in the shopping center said, "Hey, I saw Time Warner out there putting poles in behind your place."
Aha.
So they said the 25th. Today's the 22nd. So we must be getting close.
That's marvelous. Oops. That's marvelous. How long you've been going for? Like a month with no internet out there?
Yeah, it's without you and your MiFi, I would have been screwed, blued, and tattooed, as it were.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind. Oops, hold on. We're trying to find the right.
That keyboard thing was cool.
I think it's very cool. I think it's very, very doable, is what it is.
Doable is good.
Doable is good.
I've got another newsroom background for you. I'm going to send it to you.
Uh-oh. What in the world have you got up your sleeve now?
It's a news background, similar to what you have there, but more newsroomy.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting to see.
Something for variety.
Okay, well, I'm trying to, let's see if we can get this to work. I'm trying to put you in as a player in this software from Martin. And if I've got it right, auto on. And let's see. We're going to say the team name is... all right, we'll do it that way, and use team name on the lower line, and so we'll go there. Okay, we'll have to work on that. How about if we say on the line?
Hey, I see my name.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we need the ability to put this text in another place on the screen, because what I've done is I've just entered Dr. Charles Campbell right here under player number 1. The team is called On the Line, and I've selected
your lower third gets in the way.
And my lower third gets in the way. That's right. That's right. So actually, I'm going to use my nano control to turn off Oh, no, I can't. Oh, I can't have two things connected at the same time. That's good to know. That's good to know. And I want to use video overlay number 4 anyway. Okay. So there we go, Dr. Charles Campbell on the line. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, Charles, are you making any progress to getting your studio open?
Slowly but surely.
Yep. Yep.
Slowly but surely.
Slow and sure wins the race.
Gotta wait. School starts up, give me some interns.
Right. Good.
Otherwise, everything's going Jim Dandy. I will keep you informed.
Good. I hope you will.
I did get my camera mount made, the one out of PVC that retails for $150 some bucks.
Yeah.
$10-12. It's really good. Like your camera floats around. I'll send you some pictures of it.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the pictures and the plans.
Oh, there's a guy on YouTube, who is a doctoral candidate in film, and he's invented hundreds of these things. I'm looking at 2 lamp. What do we got here? I gotta go. This is my wife's hospital. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye, Charles. That was Dr. Charles Campbell. And Dr. Campbell's wife, unfortunately, is in the hospital and not doing very well. And I think that's them just calling to give him an update on that. But he is opening his own internet TV studio in West Columbia, South Carolina. And I see that we have Martin K. in the chat, and he's given me some coaching on how to use his software. This is the team name software that we've been talking about is from Martin K. With the Zen computers in the United Kingdom. And Martin has been kind enough to send me a pre-release version. And so, Martin, I'm sorry that I don't know if you were able to be with us at the very beginning in the pre-show, but we had a lot of fun putting in the names of everybody in the chat room and switching them. And I look forward to figuring out more and more how to use this software because I think it's going to be, I think it's actually going to be really a lot of fun and a very useful tool. And I think it also, my mind is just beginning to explode now with the possibilities. In a sports venue, not only is the team names overlay assistant, which is what you've called this, but it could have in addition to the team names overlay assistant function, it also could have a score function. It also could have an instant replay function. And so it all could be in one giant, massive module that, or app that would control VidBlaster from a remote PC somewhere. So this is really cool, really cool. And I thank you for sharing that. And hopefully, if you are interested in that software, you need to let us know, and we'll figure out a way to get you a bona fide version of it. At this point, I don't think it's quite ready for prime time. But then again, neither is this show, so it's a good fit. If you'd like to join us on the show today to call in, I'd love to hear from you. The lines are open. All our lines are open, and I've got the number printed in the chat. We'll print it in again. Not going to put it online because people watch this show in the middle of the night, and I don't want to get called in the middle of the night. But I'd love to hear from anybody that's watching right now, because it's always fun to hear what you guys think. Coming up on future That VidBlaster Guy shows, we hope, of course, that we're going to have more apps to show you as more and more people take on the challenge and the excitement of developing apps for VidBlaster. Things like the Korg Nano Control, I think, can have profiles, and so if you're using that and you want to share a profile with me, it would be fun to do that. Obviously, the chord profile and the VidBlaster profile kind of have to be married together so that your different modules are the ones that you're expecting them to be. But that's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for the opportunity to try out the new instant replay, VidBlaster Instant Replay version 3, 3 Roman numeral 3, and then V3 app, which is on the drawing boards as we speak. I think that's going to be a lot of fun and have some great possibilities. And Tommy House, you and I need to have some more conversations about what we talked about week before last. That was a good conversation, and we need to pursue that. We invite your calls, and you can tell I'm just sort of spinning around out here talking, waiting for somebody to call in. So would love to hear from you, especially if, let's say, for example, that you have a Sunday morning talk show where you talk about tech. If there's anybody here that might fit into that category, we'd love to hear from you on that. Or if you are starting your own, let's say you're starting your own content delivery network that's just intended for churches. We would love to hear from you on that. Or if you happen to be a web designer and live in Tennessee, if that category fits, that would be great to hear from you on that one as well. Intercontinental calls would be a bit pricey. You can't call us collect. Sorry, we won't accept the collect calls. But it is fun to see what simple technology, and again, hat tip to Jody Max in England for this. Basically, this is a Samsung Galaxy 3, but I think it's any phone that would have the ability to plug in a 3.5 millimeter jack. This is the type that has the three rings on it, so I think it's what we would call a tip ring, tip sleeve, or tip ring, sleeve, something like that. Anyway, it's got the three little lines on it, which means essentially that it has 3 functions. And in this case, when we plug in, the 3 functions are that it has 2 speakers out and then 1 audio input in. Since it's a simply mono device, but it does carry the ability to output stereo. And the other end of this is simply that really $3 pigtail that you get with a video camera that allows you to plug into the AV jack and get audio and video out the RCA cables on the other end. And I don't have my other cam set up today, so I'd show you how I have it hooked up to my mixer, but it was probably the simplest thing that I've ever done in hooking up a mixer, was to hook this up to the mixer and get it to work. It worked the first time. So if you don't have an old video camera pigtail hanging around, get one of these for $3 off of eBay. It's really funny because I saw it on eBay and I said, oh, that's what I've been looking for. So I ordered it. And then when it came in and I looked at it more closely, I realized, hey, I've got 10 of these in a box already. So anyway, it was you can't have too many of them. Can't have too many of them. So that's it. So I guess we don't have any callers today. That's all right. That's all right. But it's nice to have the technology there. And you never know, you never know when you're in a situation where you'd like to be able to take a cell phone call at the last minute and get it out on the air. Can be a lot of fun. Next week, golly gee, what will we think of next week? I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of fun and great. If you're watching us on YouTube, we invite you to join us Wednesdays at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, 8 p.m. in the evening London time, and then sometime in the early morning on Thursday Australian time. I'm not really good with time zones, so shoot me an email, and I would be happy to help you on that one. In fact, let me add my email to a lower third here. And is that going to even show? I don't know. Boy, it's so small. And let's use the live text. And we're going to turn the font black. Does that help? Did I spell it right? I think I did. Tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. And if you have questions, I'm happy to help. Oh, let's make that just a little bit bigger, shall we? That's the fun with this live text stuff, is that we can do it anywhere we want. There we go. Tom at thatvidblasterguy.com. If you have questions about VidBlaster, the first call or the first email, there's no charge. After that, we charge $25 a call, or I think it's $20 a call. But you're welcome. Even if you bought VidBlaster from somebody else, we'd be happy to provide you with support. If you're interested in buying VidBlaster, licensed to VidBlaster, I'm an authorized reseller and give free tech support to all my customers, and by cell phone if desired, and even on Friday evenings at 8 o'clock if that's what need be to get you back into good graces and back on the air. And you can buy the licenses in the store. If you have questions and you want to talk in advance, shoot me an email. If you're working for a school or a school system and you want to issue a purchase order, talk to me and we'll be happy to help make that work for you, because we work with several schools. And if you're with a city utility department or a law enforcement agency, we've had some of those that have used VidBlaster as well, and so we were happy to help with any of that. I think we're about out of our time. Obviously, nobody else is going to call. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. It's been a treat to be with you today and to talk about the API, and can't wait to talk with you again next week. And if you're watching live, hang out for a few minutes. We'll have a little after show here, and it'll be a real party. It'll be a lot of fun. So, until next week, I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. Have a great week.